whisper video. Soothing Sounds by Pearl. Dennis is enjoying a toy, and I have, after a long day, some sushi. Just a little roll for now, and I figured I would film eating this because if I don't, I'm just gonna wolf it down issues, and hyperkalemia can cause heart problems. It can cause arrhythmias and palpitations. It can cause heart disease, basically heart failure, and it can kill you if it's not managed and whatnot. Now, my potassium levels weren't dangerously high to where like, oh my, you need fluids and blah blah blah. But the doctor was really quick to write up a prescription, and it's like, let's pump the brakes on this because it's a really heavy duty medication. And if I have hypertension, which it's low hypertension, but it's still hypertension, and you're giving me this medication which is going to flood my body with sodium to flush out the potassium, let's see if I can pull back on the diet a little bit with my dietary potassium, because I do take in a lot. I'll eat one, sometimes a whole avocado every day, Brussels sprouts, leafy greens, broccoli, just a lot of foods. Butternut squash, I make the butternut squash soup that I love. That's got a ton of potassium in it. So like, my dietary potassium is super high. I usually eat like 4 to 6 tablespoons of peanut butter, like a cup of yogurt, the eggs that I eat, and it's a lot. If I eat salmon, it's a big piece of salmon that's got like 1,500 grams of potassium in it, or milligrams of potassium. So my dietary potassium is very high. So I figure, let me pump the brakes on that and see where that takes us. Anyway, right now I'm waiting on results from a thyroid ultrasound because I might have hyperthyroidism due to either, Graves' disease or nodules or something. So I'm waiting on those results. But hyperthyroidism, which, looking at the symptoms, I do have a number of them. Hyperthyroidism can cause problems with your heart too, and like the fact that not my regular doctor and not the cardiologist put these things together is weird, because like a simple search will tell you that both hyperkalemia and hyperthyroidism can cause heart issues. And if I'm telling you I'm having all these chest problems and chest pains and exercise makes it worse and all this other stuff, you would think like, oh, okay, well, so it's basically a waiting game, and it's me playing connect the dots and bringing that up to my doctor and hoping they don't prescribe me the wrong medication that might interact with some other issue I have. Also hoping that it's nothing super serious. Hoping that, I don't need surgery or something. I would prefer not to have anything wrong, like, considering how I take care of myself. It's just kind of a bummer. And tomorrow I have to go for an MRI on my brain. But I called and said I couldn't. I have to do the open MRI. I can't do the closed one. I tried that years ago and it didn't go so well. Pretty claustrophobic, but so now I have to wait on my thyroid results. I have to wait till Tuesday to talk to the doctor, cardiologist, about my stress test and where to go from there. And then I have to wait for the MRI results after tomorrow. And then I have to go back and get more blood taken because I'm going to have my potassium checked again and a couple of hormone levels because I feel like my testosterone might be kind of low. So like all this stuff is going on. I've got Dennis's surgery coming up in 2 weeks, which I'm not as worried about that as I was back in October, because he did a really good job last time, and I'm a little more at peace with it because it's something that needs to be taken care of. But it's just, I find myself playing this game of like, what is it? What's the impetus of my feeling? And when I went and walked around the mall, I just got really like emotional a massive spike, because I mean, the day that I got that particular blood test, when they tested me for everything, I mean, tested my thyroid, they tested my kidneys, my liver, they tested me for STIs, they tested like a whole gamut of stuff. I knew, like, I looked at the sheet of paper that they gave me for all the tests, and